Alexandria Lamb, and the title for my informative speech is The Machine That Can Control Death. So, anesthesia is perceived as controlling death. If we give too much anesthetic, we can cause them to go too deep or pass away. If we give them too little anesthetic, that can cause them to be light and wake up from surgery. So to keep them in the optimal plane, we need to control their consciousness without letting them wake up. So I've been doing veterinary medicine since I was 16. I went to school in 2014 and I graduated in 2016. In 2017, I registered with my veterinary license, and I've been working in high volume practices since then. I usually work in the surgical and anesthetic departments of these practices. So, an anesthesia machine controls three factors: oxygen, maintenance drug, and the patient. So people can underestimate the importance of each component, and that's why I feel like it's important to go over these parts. So first we have oxygen. Oxygen's hooked up through this line into our machine from our main tank, called an H tank. This tank holds 2,000 psi, and through the flow meter, I'm allowed to a correct amount for the patient. So you turn this dial up to go up higher, and turn it lower to go lower. I'm going to turn this off to save our oxygen so I don't waste any more. So next we see this flow meter goes into our flush valve. This flush valve flushes through the system and lets us go in between each patient and get rid of excess drug and oxygen from the previous patient, like so. It goes out this line. Next, now that we've done our oxygen, we get to see our maintenance drugs at work. So our maintenance drugs are controlled through this attachment called a vaporizer, and the vaporizer is controlled through this dial. So it goes from 0 to 5%, and 5% is the maximum dose allowed for the isoflurane for our patients. So once the drug and the iso are mixed, we see it go through this port. This port acts as an attachment for our large and small machines. The large machine is like this one, and it's called a rebreathing system. This one is meant for patients over 7 kilograms or 15 pounds, and the small system attaches to the same equipment but through that port, and it's allowed for patients under 7 kilograms or 15 pounds. So I'm going to attach it back to my large system, again the rebreather. And after it goes through there, when the patient exhales their breaths, the CO2 can collect up. In this machine, it collects in this canister, the CO2 canister, and then in this, it goes through to our passive system that is vacuumed out through this port. So, now that we've done that, we get to see the effects on the patient. When we have too much drugs, we can get them too deep again. When we have too little drugs, we can get them too light. We watch for their parameters such as their heart rate, respiratory rate, temperature, blood pressure, their CO2, and their reflexes. If any of these values are strong, like their reflexes, or if they're high numbers, they're typically stimulated and can become light. If any of these values are low, or the absence of the reflexes, they can become too deep and pass. So in order to give a patient a proper breath, we have to use this attachment called the pop-off valve. You close the pop-off valve like so. This closes the valve off to the entire machine so that air is only going out one direction. This does not allow the patient to exhale that. So we have to open back up this pop-off valve. In some equipment, there is a small attachment like this button that allows us to close it quickly and release it quickly. So in conclusion, it's important to know all the components to control our anesthetic depth. So an anesthesia machine has three factors it controls: oxygen, a maintenance drug, and our patient. And again, anesthesia is considered controlled death. When properly used, we provide safe, controlled pain management and comfort to our patients. Thank you.